Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So a couple videos back I made kind of like a part 1 of what I want to call a series, but I don't know if I should call this part 2 because essentially what I did was look for used basically bad PC deals to help those who don't know what they're doing or looking into buying something for their first time and avoid certain mistakes. But for this one, I actually want to talk about a certain computer that goes on Amazon. It goes new. So this is probably even a worst case scenario. Where do I even want to start? This thing is a mess all over the place. I'll just look. Okay, so opening up the listing for the first time is kind of a nightmare. And I'm looking at this in the perspective that I know what they're selling. Like I can see through almost a scam. I like to call this a scam. Already in like the listing of this, we have like 7 pictures of the exact same thing. But the only thing that changes is their RGB lights. And yes, from a seller's perspective, I can see how like someone getting into a computer would find that attractive, and it's a good selling point, but it's definitely not a good sign. I'm just pointing that out as a red flag. Let's read what this actually has. So it has an i5, 3.1 gigahertz. So right in the title, they don't even give us the model name, which is definitely not a good sign. And even if it's 3.1 gigahertz, we're not like positive how well this processor can perform. Like it sounds decent, like i5, 3.1 gigahertz. That doesn't sound half bad. Like, you can't go wrong, but it also depends on the model number and stuff like that. So let's just continue. 8 gigabytes of RAM, which I come to find out, I scroll down a little bit further. It's in that little description thing where you actually look for it. It's DDR3, which means it's 1, low clock speed, and 2, it's DDR3. It's not DDR4. We want DDR4 for a $500 computer on Amazon. That's new. I get it if you're totally like not aware of how bad this hardware might be. Just check out a couple of videos I've done in the past of $500 computers, and with those you're probably getting 3 times the performance that this is going to give you, if not more. Like at least 3 times. This thing is, oh man, it's a PC building sin. This thing is a PC building sin. Okay, so moving on from the RAM, right? You can't really forgive bad RAM and a bad processor already. So we're just gonna have to strap in and keep reading. So we have a 1 terabyte hard drive and no SSD. So in 2020, in PC building, at a $500 price point of a new Amazon computer, we can't afford to throw in an SSD for some reason. For some reason, they want to use a GTX 650, which has 1 gigabyte of video memory and a 1 terabyte hard drive with absolutely no SSD. Oh, and DDR3 RAM. Where you might be thinking, oh, don't poop on it. Sellers really need to make their money, and it's hard selling PCs, especially right now with prices going on and stock being so low and all that. Hold on, man. Maybe you should cut this thing some slack. All right. I guess for the hardware and for the sake of being nice, we can try cutting it some slack. Let's keep reading and see if we can find any good in this computer. So lastly, in the title, they feature 3 RGB fans with remote. If they're featuring this in the title, that leads me to believe that's one of their selling points. And if that's one of your selling points in a computer and you're putting that in your title, like literally, even if it's used anywhere where you might list a computer, if you're putting that it has RGB as one of the main selling points, I already know you're not selling a good system. It's just tragic. Okay, so after you do some scavenging into the product description of this actual computer, they finally tell you that the processor in this is an i5 2400 at 3.1 gigahertz. I think you can do a lot better than a processor that only supports DDR3 memory, and especially one that isn't 9 years old.
Oh my goodness!
For a $500 computer, you're getting an almost decade-old processor. Why are we doing this? Like, this is why custom building is just so much better than pre-builds. You just can't compare them. Like the upgradeability aspect, for example. Like we have a B75 LGA 1155 motherboard. The CPUs that support an 1155 motherboard are non-existent. I can't even recommend that to you. So if you wanted to upgrade this thing, say you want to keep your power supply and your case, and maybe your hard drive, because those are pretty hard to wipe sometimes. You're keeping 3 things and you have to change essentially everything else. your motherboard, your CPU, your graphics card, which is absolutely dog poop, and your memory, which is DDR3. Because I'm definitely not the first one, many people will look right through this and know that this is a terrible, terrible computer. They're essentially kind of ripping people off, and they're selling a overpriced computer, especially for it being quote unquote new in the market on Amazon, so it's just not fun. So in no way was this video meant to bash on or completely hate the computer that I just ranted on. I just want to make it clear that the point of this was to make it as educational as possible to those who might have been thinking or might have made the mistake of buying a pre-built. That not all pre-builts are that bad. As a matter of fact, some of them can be good. So it just really depends on what you look for, and that's kind of the point of these videos. I feel like the more that we take a look at these deals and we see on what aspects they lack, I think that'll help those who don't know learn and identify those errors when they look at separate listings and things like that on their own. And that'll eventually help them get into the community, because it once helped me as well. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching this rant if you're still here. I appreciate so much the support that you've all given me. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for this video, or definitely for the next, make sure to let me know in a comment down below. Or you can also DM me if you have a Twitter, and I'll get back to you for sure on there. And as always, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.